Hey everybody, and welcome back to Keeping It Real with Tiff and Carl. I'm Carl Raven,
And I'm Tiffany Salcido. I don't know why I
and
said it like that.
it's Tiffany Salcido.
Tiffany Salcido.
Yes, that's pretty. So it's a saucy Tiff today. Yes,
Very saucy. Saucy.
and she might be saucy because we're getting back into the swing of things as trainers. I think we mentioned in the last episode that it's about that time where
Yes.
things start ramping up and planning for things and traveling and doing all those things, that trainers do. It's similar to a school year, right? After the end of June, there's 2 months. Well, I mean, we have our Travel TANF Institute that we do in July, but most of August is pretty chilled. There's about 5, 6 weeks there where the tempo isn't as high as what we look towards, in the first half of the year in October, November, and all those wonderful things. And so, yeah, just, we're gearing back up, right? So, doing your workouts, getting ready for the road, right? Doing your push-ups and your cardio. And, you know,
Yep.
I remember, I don't know if you were a Osborne's watcher,
I
but
did.
yeah, do you remember the episode where he was going back on tour and so he started getting on the treadmill and on the elliptical and he was yelling at Shen, why do I have to do this? Right. And she said, well, you're going back on tour, Aussie. And so you need to, be able to be in shape. Oh, I hate it. Right. So yeah, I definitely remember that.
It's exhausting. I tell you, there's definitely a conditioning for it. And I know I feel it like the first couple of weeks. I really feel it in my body and my feet, and I'm exhausted. And but I mean, it's cool. I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm excited that it's ramping back up. The weeks go by so fast.
Yeah.
you know I'm filling up my calendar right now. Like, I'm like, do you have this available? Do you have that? And I'm like looking in. I've got stuff booked all the way through like the end of June, and I am already looking at these months going, oh, this is going to be a wild month. Oh, this is going to be, and then having to redo, like, okay, can I fit this in here? It's only a 3 hour drive after a
Yeah.
full day of work. I can fit that in. That'll work. But
Yeah.
I love it. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I had my first double booking of the year already,
Oh,
Tiff. Just yeah.
do you
So
know I've only double booked twice in the almost 10 years that I've been doing this? Only twice. I'm very, very organized. However, if my paper calendar ever goes missing, I'm dead in the water. I really am. I live and die by this calendar. It goes with me everywhere.
mhm.
And I live 1 week at a time. And so if people are like, what are you doing this week? I'm like, hold on, I have to check my paper calendar. But September is a busy month. October is a busy month. November is a busy month, which I'm excited about all of these things. Um, yeah. So if you ever see me without my paper calendar, no, I have no idea where I'm supposed to be, which is a
Yeah,
terrible thing for a trainer.
I hear you. I have my Google Calendar. I've moved over from paper to that, but
Oh,
I
wow.
make sure that I have that there. And I've only really, I think I've only double booked maybe in the 18 years I've been doing this, maybe 3 or 4 times. But and the double
It's
booking this time,
devastating
it
when you
was
do, though.
yeah, yeah, and the double booking this time was, hey, give me some dates, and then I don't hear from them for 2 months, and then somebody else in the
Hmm.
meantime, hey, can you do this date? Right. And so, yeah, so it was, meanwhile, oh, okay, well, we scheduled you on this date. I'm like, okay, well, I already said yes to something, but how do I make that work? So luckily, I have some cool vendors that I have good relationships with, and they're able to, you know, move stuff around to make that happen. But yeah, it's the life
Right.
of, being self-employed and not being able to afford to have that personal assistant. So,
Right. No, I definitely have like a first come, first serve. So when people ask for dates, I'm always like, this is what I have right now, but I'm not holding them for you. And so
Yeah.
when I do it through my personal business, if someone has a date, because I've been burned a few times with people like canceling, they have to pay 50% deposit to hold a date. And so
Hmm.
if you reschedule or you cancel, you lose your deposit. So I
Hmm.
have a very low attrition rate because it costs them a lot of money to cancel on me. But it's like
Yeah.
if people cancel, like for you, it may be like just a scheduling thing, but for me, I've lost that day,
Yeah.
and
That's the
it's not like
problem.
I can fill it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not like I can just say, "Hey, I got a opening tomorrow. If anybody wants," it's like there's so much that
Yeah.
goes into this that um, so that's why I have to be real strict about cancellations because it
Yeah.
costs me way too much money.
And that I have to be more stricter. That's one of my boundaries that I do need to set because like I've had people cancel on me the day before and the week
Mm-hmm.
before. And so just holding people accountable to those those times. And you know what, sometimes and there's some places that we work where, when they cancel, they don't even know their own policy. Right.
Right,
So,
right.
just to remind them. So we got to be on top of the legalese too. So, just the many hats of a trainer, the many hats, right? So,
I always say you can cancel as much as you want, but you're still gonna pay me.
yeah,
You can
yeah.
cancel. You do what you got to do. I'll take the free day, but what I'm not gonna do is lose out on my income. I don't
Yeah.
know. I hate to say it, we're not volunteers. You know what I mean? Like we're not volunteers. We don't do. I mean, we
Hmm.
love what we do, but we don't do it for free.
Right,
So this is
right.
my livelihood. Every
Yeah,
day that goes by without a job is a day unpaid, and I can't afford that. So,
that's
um,
right.
so
Time
I,
is
I'm
money,
I'm
pimping.
flexible.
Time is money.
Yeah, I was telling you, I'm flexible with many things. I'm very, very flexible. But what I'm not flexible with is my money. That's
Hmm.
that's important to me. You know,
Well,
Again, I've lived in poverty. Not a fan. Not a fan.
well, to quote the great orator, Big Worm, playing with my money is like playing with my emotions. Right.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
yes.
I
All
know
right.
that one very well.
Worm. Right. So, okay. Well, guess what, Tiff? I was digging in my crates. I'm not a DJ. I was digging in my backpack, my travel backpack, pack your own, shoot, like we talked about, and I found
Yeah, of
my box of icebreaker questions. And
course you did.
so, we haven't done those in a minute. So I just pulled one out randomly, and up came this one. So, Tiff, what is your guilty pleasure?
Ooh, my guilty pleasure. I don't feel guilty about it, but I kind of do feel guilty about it. Reality TV,
Reality TV.
reality television shows.
Hmm.
And the more dysfunctional it is, the happier I am. I haven't had TV, so I'm back in the U.S. right now, and I don't have TV in Mexico. And so coming back when we're home and it's been hot and muggy and nasty here, so a lot of the stuff we do is in the house, and so I have the TV on the background in the house. And so my guilty pleasure this last week has been um, Life After Lockup.
Hmm.
Oh, life after lockup, let me tell you. And it's just like the story of people who, get out of prison and they're, dealing with significant others and being on parole and freedoms. And then, like, there was this one season where it was this guy and he had his wife, but he also had his girlfriend and he was trying to juggle the wife and the girlfriend. And then it was complete chaos. I loved every minute of it. My favorite franchise of reality TV is 90 Day Fiance, 100%. I love all of them. And yesterday I binged all day. I was doing stuff, so please don't think I was just sitting on a chair, but I binged the new it's the dating show. I can't finding love. I don't even
Love
know
is
what it's
blind.
called, to be honest with you. No. It's a 90 Day Fiance
Oh,
uh, one of their many branches on the 90 Day tree. Um, but it's a dating show with some of the people who have not found love on 90 Day Fiance. and are now are now like dating again. Hunt for Love is what it's called. I had to look it up. So 90-day Hunt for Love, and it's like some of the people who've been divorced from their partners or didn't work out, and they're looking. It's like a dating show, kind of like Love Island or whatever it is. Um, but some of their storylines come back and there's characters that you know, and it's so dramatic and goofy, and I love it so much. And I know they're real people. Can I tell you, like, some of this is very obviously very produced. I don't, I take every reality show with a grain of salt. Like, I know that they create drama and they create whatever. So thank you for that. I love that they create some drama, and all of these storylines are not always like authentic. I do understand that. Man, is it fun to watch. So those are my favorite. Almost
Cool.
every show that you ask me, there's very few scripted shows I really love, but I haven't watched any of the Housewives. Not one of the Housewives I haven't watched. And I used to really be into love and hip hop, but I haven't watched anything in the last probably 5 years or so. But in the beginning, when it was like Chrissy and Emily, like Love and Hip Hop New York, Cardi B before she was Cardi B. It was a lot of fun.
So
Like, I get all
top
excited. I
five,
love reality.
top five reality shows.
Ooh, okay. So okay, I'm gonna go. These are not in any particular order. My 600-pound life, Hoarders. Uh, I'm gonna put just 90 Day Fiance and all of them in that. Love and Hip Hop New York and Love and Hip Hop Hollywood. Those are my top five.
Very
And the
cool.
challenge. And the
Yeah.
challenge. I don't
Oh
know if
yeah.
that counts as a reality show or a
Hell yeah, it
competition
counts as
show, but
reality. It's in my top five.
yes. So the
Reality
challenge is definitely a top five.
competition
It might be
shows are
top
reality
one.
shows. Yeah,
Okay,
they're
so that might be the
unscripted.
top one.
I
Yeah,
guess we should say unscripted, right? But
yeah,
yeah, that's
yeah.
that's in my top five, right? Yeah, my guilty pleasures is enjoying my competition shows, right?
Hmm.
My top number one's Top Chef. That's
I like Top
that's my
Chef.
jam. It's a great show.
I do enjoy
Uh,
Top Chef.
and then the challenge, of course. Um,
Good one.
One I picked up last year that I'm frustrated that it's not, that the new season isn't out yet is Traders. Is that's it is amazing. It is
Haven't watched
crazy.
it.
You talk about drama. It's just all about people live in a house and they know that two, three, or four of the people that they're living with are trying to sabotage them and are trying to get
Okay,
them
I think I've
voted
seen
out.
that. Mhm.
Yeah. And they will murder them in their sleep, which means that they will, while at night, traders meet up in this bell tower of this mansion in Scotland, and they decide who they're going to kill, which means they're off the show, no questions asked, right? And so they all meet in these cloaks, and it's just it's so much fun. It's so much fun. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. And then The Amazing Race. I love The Amazing Race. It if I'm ever
I've seen that one.
just like
Yeah.
yeah, if just I need to be in the mood for it, but once I get in the mood, it's like I don't want to get up, right? And like I got to watch the next episode, right? So Pluto TV, the
Yeah.
free to air TV, they have an Amazing Race
Yeah.
channel and a Top Chef channel, so it's a challenge, But
Nice.
it's the challenge, right? So and then my last one is not a competition show, but it is my guilty pleasure per se is Below Deck Sailing Yacht. So I think I
Oh.
mentioned that before, but not Below
Yep.
Deck in general. I watched that Below Deck Australia, but it's just all about the captain taking his shirt off, right? But I like Below Deck Sailing Yacht. That's the one I got into. So, that's the one I can stand because I got into it. So just with
Right.
I like the captain, and Gary and Daisy and their on off again romance and all this nonsense. And they're in these wonderful ports like in Croatia and Ibiza and in the Mediterranean. It's just fantastic. So
Hmm.
it's that's appointment TV when it comes on as well. So, but yeah, I'm right in the thick of the challenge right now, Tiff. You gotta catch the new season. It's
I cannot watch it until it's done. I am a binger. I am a binger. I am not a wait till next week's episode type of peasant. I'm not doing that. I can't live with that type of suspense. Um, with Love After Lockup the other night, I was watching it and I needed to go to sleep because I had a really early morning and I could not go to sleep because I was waiting for the wife and they kept teasing the wife and the girlfriend confronting each other. And I kept like, it's going to be on the next episode. And then it would end with a cliffhanger. And I'm like, one more episode, one more episode. I got like 4 hours of sleep that night, which is not healthy. It's
not.
not healthy, but I did see
Mm-mm.
the confrontation and it was incredibly anticlimactic, but
Oh,
still very satisfying.
that sucks. But it's the vets against the threats, against the new threats. So they bring in, they have the vets, like your favorite, bananas and and Derek and what's her name? Anissa, who's, you
Anissa,
know, and all them. And then they have the equal amount of people who have not been on the challenge yet, but have been on like Survivor and Big Brother and Love Island and all
yeah.
that. And so
Well,
they
they've
bring
done
them
that kind
together.
of season before, no?
Yeah, yeah, but this is it's just equal, right? And
Okay.
so, you know, they're working on, getting through that stuff and it's just it's drama when, I just when I'm banging out an outline for a class, it's just great to have that in the background and hear people screaming at each other and who's going to vote who out and who, you know, votes themselves into the pit and, and their elimination and all this stuff. So yeah, it's fun.
You know who I miss on the challenge? He was only on like maybe a few seasons, maybe two or three tops, but his name was Bear. He was from England or the UK.
Hmm.
I don't remember where in the UK he was from, but he was on I think it was like US versus the world. It's when they introduced Turbo for the first time. I don't know if you
Yeah, yeah. Turbo's
follow
on this one.
Turbo. Yeah,
Turbo and,
Turbo's a menace to society.
yeah, yeah.
Turbo is a menace to society. But
Turbo and
I love Bear. I love
yeah,
Bear.
Turbo and CT are on this one too. So they're
I love
supposed to
CT.
supposedly get into it in the next episode. So we'll see. But I'll let you watch it. I'll leave it to you.
Ooh.
So
Oh,
yeah,
Turbo and CT. I so see okay, CT when his testosterone was at its like peak in like his 20s and 30s,
yeah,
I would never like even look sideways at CT, but he's a little soft and squishy now. Like he's very like he doesn't rage like he used to. So
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah,
Like CT's probably gonna like talk him down, be like, look, bro, I want to fight you, but like, can't we all just get along? Like Romania and
yeah.
US, let's come together. I think Romania. That might is that where
Turkey,
Turbo's from?
Turkey.
Turkey.
Yeah,
Okay, who's from? There
yeah.
was someone else from Romania in the last season. That's why I got it
I
confused.
think so.
But
Yeah, you're right. I can't remember. But yeah,
I can see his
it's
face, but I can't
interesting.
remember his name. Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyways, I can talk about that. We can make this a challenge podcast. Love the challenge. You know what's
we
funny,
should do a watch along. We
right?
should do a watch along.
When I met my husband, he used to watch like a lot of the MTV shows, and I was not a big at that point. I had like young kids. I didn't really watch like a lot of TV for me. Most of the time, it was whatever my kids were watching. So he watched like Jersey Shore. He used to watch the
Hmm.
Kardashians. He used to watch like The Challenge, and I would tell him like these are so stupid. These are so stupid. And then I got really into like I still love Jersey Shore. Like
Me too.
that's
Yeah,
another one I could put on there.
they
That would
have a
be
new
another. Can we make it a top 10?
they
Yeah.
have a new season. They have a new season, but it's different.
So
I watched one episode and it's just it's Jersey Shore our age, and so it's
I know, but they're still
yeah,
entertaining. I love Snooki.
yeah,
I love Snooki. They're all in different places in their life, but they're not like a hot
yeah,
mess like they were before, but they still got
yeah,
challenges.
yeah.
But
Paulie
yeah,
still has the hair though. Still has that
Polly's
wall of
always gonna
hair.
have the hair. That's his signature look. Polly's never going to change. And I love
Paulie
Vinny.
D.
I love all of them. Anyways, but he used to watch that. And I used to always tell him, I don't know why you watch the challenge. It's dumb. This is a dumb show. And now I'm like so into it. So again, the episode ends and I'm like, okay, I gotta go to bed, but let's watch one more. And he's like, oh, I thought this show was so stupid. I'm like, shut your mouth. I changed my mind. I really love it now. Love it. I still don't
Awesome.
like the Kardashians though. I don't watch that.
I don't watch that
I don't
either.
entertain that. Yeah, I'm not a
No,
fan. I used to like it when
no,
Bruce was on there. Like in the early
yeah,
age when they were young and Bruce was on there and it was authentic. Now it's just like a Skims commercial. I'm not into it.
yeah, yeah. I hear you. Well, the one thing about the traders is that they bring in housewives. So like from the house, it's an NBC
Oh
show,
yeah.
so they bring in
Yeah.
from the Housewives franchise. So I'm learning about these people that you hear about in TMZ and all this shit just by watching them, and I'm like, oh, well, they're not that bad. And then,
Yeah.
yeah,
I had a friend group that used to be into the housewives and they would talk about it and I'd be like, get me out of the group chat. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I'm not, I can't follow. I would be like, oh my God, who are these people? Thinking it was like friends of theirs. And they're like, oh, they're the housewives. I'm like, I'm out. I'm out. Delete me from the group chat. Not interested.
mm.
So much fun.
Oh, so do you have a question? Or
I have my book. Let's see.
okay,
Let's find one for you. Oh, you know what? Actually, I do have a question. It's not even from my book, but I was curious because I have this one item in my house that every time I look at it, I say, this was a purchase I didn't need, but I love. Do you have like what is like one thing that you have bought that you didn't need, like an indulgent purchase, something you didn't need, maybe you spent too much money on it, but you will never, ever, ever regret it because you just love it. I can't think of the right word I want for it. Like a
an indulgence. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. Hmm. I'm just looking around the house and seeing all the indulgent buys that aren't mine.
So your wife, although you
Yeah.
didn't pay for
No, no,
it.
no. We'll talk about
No.
mine. You
Oh,
keep her out of this. Let her do her own
oh.
podcast too, But what? So I don't think I am notoriously cheap,
Mm.
and so I only try to buy what I need, but also I buy what I want. I'll tell you what I bought. Okay, so I got the entire season, the whole season run, the whole run of Northern Exposure. And
Okay.
so 'cause I love that show. It's just, when I was going through college and everything else like that, it just helped me survive while I was banging out term papers and whatnot. But it's been hard to find. It's now on Amazon. Amazon's streaming it finally, after I think
Mhm.
last year they started streaming it, but for about 20, 25 years you couldn't find it anywhere. And the reason is because they used so much classic music that it was expensive. Each show for a rerun, you had to pay royalties on the music. And so they didn't have nobody wanted to pay for the to air the reruns because it was so expensive because of the music rights and releases. And so I bought a full season run that I was like, oh, this is only like $100. Okay. But they replaced the music with like, you know, um, generic music. Right. And so
Mhm. Mhm.
I was like, yeah, it's just kind of missing. It's like if you watched, I don't know if you watched The Sopranos, but watching
Yeah,
The
I did.
Sopranos, watching The Sopranos without the music that they have, because it was the same music supervisor. So,
Uh-huh.
you know, um, or watching Goodfellas without the music in that movie.
Yeah.
And so I finally found one that was one of the original DVD releases, and it was like, I think it was like $800, and I was just like,
Oh wow.
yeah, I gotta, you know, mortgage is paid, car is paid. Let's do this, right? So yeah, I went and did that, right? But yeah, and I'm not sad. The only thing I'm frustrated with is now, a few years after I bought it, Amazon came out with the full thing. So, but it's it gave me a couple years of joy, right? So, and then also when Amazon doesn't, I don't, it doesn't seem to let you do this anymore, but you used to be able to buy songs and albums from their Amazon Music. I have a library of about 3,000 songs that I bought, or out, songs and albums combined. There's about 3,000 songs that um, I used to have on my phone, and now it's on a different part of Amazon. You have to download it. It takes forever. And then it doesn't let you just buy songs. It just, now that I have Amazon Unlimited, it doesn't let you buy the song. You just get to add it to your thing. So which means that if I stop paying for Amazon, which I've thought about, recently,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Right.
then all that music goes away. And I'm like, no, that's the reason I buy it. Because, when I'm driving, the reason I bought it is because when you're driving up to Eureka or Crescent City, there is horrible cell service, right?
Right.
So, I didn't have, and this was back before podcasts and saving podcasts and whatnot. So the only thing that got me through between Willits and Eureka was all my saved songs, right? Listening to
Mhm.
Purple Rain all the way through, and listening to, Houses of the Holy all the way through, and Violator all the way through, right? And all those things like that. I
Yes.
knew that'd bring a smile to your face. But just,
I know.
those 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 things that helped me to deal with the windy roads and
Yeah.
no cell reception. So that was so I'm okay with it now, but I've got this repository of songs that I
Hmm.
can access, but it just I can access them for free now. But so anyway, so yeah. But I'm like I said, it served me well. It got me through the first 10 years of my training life. So, I was grateful for that. How about you?
Mine is um, a mocha pot, just a little stovetop espresso maker that normally you would buy for like 20 bucks, which I have one that I spent 20 bucks on. It makes the best coffee in the whole wide world. But I saw one online and it was beautiful. It was ceramic and it was gorgeous. And I kept looking for one that was like less expensive, that was ceramic and beautiful, and couldn't find one that was comparable to the one I saw. And so after 3 years of talking myself out of it, I bought myself a Dolce& and Gabbana ceramic mocha pot for like 150 freaking dollars, which is a lot of money for a mocha pot that you can buy for 20 bucks. But I will tell you, I love that. I love it. I love seeing it on my stovetop. I use it in the winter time. I use it every single day. Um, and I do not regret it. Every time I see it, it brings me joy. And I went and I bought it because I couldn't find it. Because again, I looked at it for 3 years and didn't buy it. And then when I went to buy it online, they didn't have it. So I had to find it in the store and I found it at like a Williams Sonoma. Um, and they had it in stock and I went and and I was actually training in Ventura and I found it like in that area. And so I went and they had two of them left. And one of them, the box was all smashed up. And then the other one, like you could tell it had been opened and looked at several times. And usually I like my new stuff to be brand new. I want the paper still crispy on it and stuff. But you could tell that it had been coveted by many people. And I finally was like, okay, if there's no chips, no dings, I will get this thing. And I did. And I absolutely love it. But every time I look at it, I'm happy. But I said, I can't believe I spent 150 bucks on this. And I didn't
Well,
buy it because it's Dolce & Gabbana. Like, can I just say, I didn't buy the brand. I wasn't buying it for the name. It's just a beautiful freaking piece. It's just a beautiful, like, I've never seen anything like it. I work hard. I deserve nice things. That's how I justify it to myself.
so could we say giving the gift allowed you to get the gift?
That's true. That is true. That is is absolutely accurate. And if I really justify it, because I don't buy from like coffee chains anymore because the coffee I like to drink ends up being like $8, $9, depending on where I'm at. So if I really put it that way, if I just not buy 16 cups of Starbucks coffee, it paid for itself. It paid for itself. So therefore I'm making money now. It was an investment.
Yeah,
it's a money maker.
there you go.
But it's so
So yeah,
pretty. It's so
so it's
pretty.
paying back.
And I
Very cool.
absolutely, positively drink my coffee with my pinkies up when I pour it from my Dolce and Gabbana, Dolce and Gabbana mocha pot. I definitely am like, sip on that, peasants. Sip on that. So good.
Cool. So
Love that thing.
yeah, and I try to, my dad told me one time, he says, when if you when on payday, treat, take 10% of it, treat yourself. Do something good for yourself. Do something that makes you happy. So, I mean, I guess I could say my indulgences are going to concerts or, just being able to, but I mean,
Yeah.
but that's also just being able to live the life that I want to live. That's fulfillment, right? Like getting that
Right.
mocha pot is, it may not be what floats anybody else's boat but you, but that's you, right? And so you get to look
Yeah.
at it
No,
and
it's
know this is one of the perks of me being able to live the life that I'm living, right? And that's awesome, right? And you
yeah.
should never be ashamed of that, right? And
Oh yeah.
that's yeah. People, one thing I see people traveling all the time and they're going to exotic places and going to Europe and Thailand and all. It's awesome. That's cool. When my wife and I talk about singing along with Babyface for 45 minutes on all the songs he wrote for other people, and
Right.
just watching Patti LaBelle rolling on the floor, or Gladys Knight sitting down hitting the high notes like she was in her 20s, right?
Hmm.
Or just going outside lands. I mean, we went because she wanted to see Hozier, and she got a spot right up in front of Hozier, and she loved it. And I mean, it was even a kind of a partial because she was up against a railing, and
Hmm.
you couldn't necessarily see him unless you like peeked through one of the things, but he was right there. But that's the best concert I've ever been to. And she just loved it. Right. So those things that bring you joy and memories and satisfaction, never apologize for those. As long as you can afford them, as long as you're not killing your credit, as long as you're not destroying your family to do those things, if you've earned it and you can, that's another thing my dad said, try to pay cash.
Yeah.
So, if you can do that, then who's to tell you you're wrong? Right. And don't
No, and I
stop
don't feel
thinking about
wrong.
it.
Trust
Yeah.
me. Yeah. I
Yeah.
I don't feel wrong. I go through moments of indulgence, right? And I go, treat yourself, right?
That's right.
Treat
Yeah.
yourself. And then I'm like, I have too much stuff. And
Yeah.
stuff doesn't, you get that like dopamine hit when you first get it. And so there's a
Yeah.
lot of times where I've treated myself and then later I'm like, I didn't need any of this stuff. Like it where am I gonna put it? Now I got this extra something. Um, that's just one of those ones where I did treat myself and I felt real good about it. So uh, there's plenty of other things where I have indulged and I'm not so happy about it.
Yeah.
Like I have a whole closet of shoes right now that I probably will never wear again in this lifetime. The pandemic just changed the way I feel about footwear. And I'm like comfort over fashion or whatever you want to call it. And I have a bunch of uncomfortable shoes that are adorable and cute and really
Yeah.
like make my outfit. But I'm also like, yeah, I don't want to be cute that bad. I'm good. So, but I
Yeah.
can't get rid of them. I'm trying. I've been trying to gift them to people because most of them have been worn a couple of times, and I don't know where my Bigfoot girls are, but I usually wear like a 10 or 11,
Yeah.
and so I don't know tons of people that wear that size. But what I don't want to do is like donate them to Goodwill and stuff, where just another corporation's going to make money off of them. So I try to like um, find people that can wear them and
Yeah.
use them and love them because I otherwise I'm just gonna die with them all. So bury me with my shoes. That's all I'm gonna say. And maybe a couple of my favorite purses. But I don't buy shoes and purses like that anymore. I went through a
Yeah.
phase and I don't anymore. That's from my past. I have plenty to last a lifetime.
All right. So, thinking about those indulgences and our guilty pleasures and all those things. I mean, just, and even what we talked about last time, public speaking, right? We touched on this a little bit, but, what's the one thing they all have in common, is our worry. And, the older we get, the less we worry about it so much, but our worry that we're going to be judged or we're going to be looked at like, oh, really? You needed that mocha pot. Really? You have
Yes.
Northern Exposure? God, I hated that show. Right? Just all
Yeah.
that nonsense, right? And so, you know, the things that we do or that we don't do because of what we're worried about what other people are thinking about us. And that's such a strong response and strong emotion that people have. Either they don't do something or they do it and they get super defensive or argumentative or they shut people out. And I just, like you said, that dopamine hit is real and it's a challenge. But just that idea of judgment, being judgmental, just recognizing what it is we're judgmental about, right? And why we're judgmental and how it affects us and other people that we're judgmental about. I mean, what's something that you're judgmental about, Tiff?
How much time do we have? Remember, I have a
Well,
reputation for being judgmental.
so we talked before before the meeting and before our episode. We were talking about yards, and Tiff was mentioned she's judgmental about yards, and I said, well, I'm glad you're not seeing my yard right now, because we just had a tree knocked down and we're renovating the front, and it's funny. I have a next door neighbor who's super sweet, super nice. She's slowing down a little bit, right? And so sometimes she'll ask, oh, where are you from, and things like that, right? But she walked past as I was doing something in the yard, and she said, "Oh, you're redoing your yard, I see," which is her way of saying, "Gosh, this place is a mess."
Thank you.
And I said, "Yeah, yeah," and then I felt like I had to explain. Well, we just we cut down the tree that we had in the front there, and so and we wanted to keep the mulch so we could do stuff in the backyard. And my wife's working in the backyard right now, and once the backyard is done, she's going to focus on the front. But in the meantime, the front looks like the beginning of the monsters, right?
Okay.
And just deserted monster house type of style, and super yellow, not even green or brown, just yellow, right? And it was taken over by weeds, so a couple weeds are sprouting up, and it's just it's something that it bugs us because when we go by other people's houses, we will look at them and say, gosh, they're not paying attention to that, they're not taking care of that. And then Tiff said that she judges people based off their yards, so you know
I don't judge people based off the yards. I judge the yards by their
hmm
yards.
hmm
So I judge my own house because we came back from after being gone for a month, and our neighbor, who we loved tremendously, watered our front yard for us while we were gone. We don't have automatic sprinklers in this house, which I whatever we just don't. But judge me on that. But we our neighbor was watering our grass for us, which is really kind of him, and so our front yard was like overgrown and luscious, by the way. But our weed eater broke, and so my husband mowed, and he takes care of the yard stuff. He doesn't like the way I do it, so he's in charge of it. And so he went and mowed, but because our weed eater's broken, like all the grass is like growing over the sidewalks and the pathways. And so I've been judging because every time we come into the driveway, I always tell him we need a new lawn person. Mind you, he's the lawn person. So he's like, I'm trying to find a weed eater. So I make a lot of little slick comments about the yard. It's all from a place of love. But I judge yards like, for example, we have a neighbor down the street, couple maybe a few houses down. I pass it when I go check my mail. They redid their whole yard and they did mulch and trees, and I mean it's gorgeous. They put so much work into it and it looks so nice. And that was maybe a year ago, and they just kind of have let it go. You got weeds popping up through the mulch, and I'm like, why spend all of that time and money to create something beautiful if you're just going to let it like deteriorate? And I know people have stuff going on in their lives. I again, I'm sympathetic to the human part of it, but it's like, I don't know. I judge myself just as much as anybody else by the yards. Like, take care of your yard or put rocks if that's what you need to do. Or I'm in Southern California. Half the yards here have rocks. But I also
I believe
okay,
it's called being drought resistant, Tiff. It's not that we
yeah,
don't
yeah, no,
longer
it
have to
is.
deal with grass. It's called being no, that's our
I don't
excuse,
care.
right?
Yeah,
Rather than we dealing with
yeah.
grass, we'd rather be drought resistant, right?
I don't even care. Honestly, I don't care about grass. Honestly, if I could get rid of my grass, I 100% would. Like, I am not attached to grass at all. Like, I don't think you have to have a manicured lawn. I've seen people have like wild flowers in their whole front yard, and it's gorgeous. It's just that like a little bit of level of care, to make sure that it's aesthetically pleasing for your neighbors and stuff. That's one of the reasons I bought the house I did in Mexico. I hadn't even gone in the house yet. And I said, this is our house. Why? Because the way that the front yard presented was just so welcoming and so nice. So, and again, I know people have issues and sometimes they can't afford to care for it and they can't pay somebody. I get that. So I'm not judging the human for it. I just hate to see yards go to waste. That's all. That's all.
Mhm.
Um, Another thing I'm very judgmental about, I'll just be honest about it, and this is what I call it what you want. I hate to see men in drunk socks. And when I say men in drunk socks, what I mean by that are like cotton athletic socks that are like fighting for their lives to like stay on. And they wear like nice trousers and dress shoes, and then they pull it up and they have these like elastic, worn out, busted ass Puma socks. Get some dress socks. Get some, like put some effort into your socks, because when you pull your leg up and we see your drunk sock, and now I can't take you seriously. So I absolutely do judge the drunk socks. Um, very very much. Like, athletic socks are great if you're wearing athletic shoes, but like, I don't know, sitting on like interview panels and seeing people interview and then they have the drunk socks on, I'm just like, can't take you seriously. I wish I was a better person. Um, I'm also very, very judgmental about the way that people treat service workers. Very judgmental. If they are rude or demanding or obnoxious, I'm absolutely judging. And I probably might even say something because it's like a big, huge rub to me when people are not kind to the people who are doing something for you. Like, I think you should be kind to everybody all of the time, but I take a special insult to people who are like okay, at the brewery that I hang out at in San Felipe. I'm friendly. This is like the community watering hole, and there was a guy that came in who lives there. Everybody knows him. I had never met him before, but he came in and he was going like this to catch the bartender's attention and was snapping his fingers at her. And I was like, oh, no, no, absolutely not. We're not doing that. He's like, what? Said, you can wait your turn. They're not, don't be snapping your fingers. They're obviously doing something. They're very attentive. But if you see everybody's busy right now, they know you're waiting. But what you're not going to do is snap your fingers at these people. And he was like, what are you going to do? Beat me up? I might. I might. Do you want to see? Do you want to find out? Now, I'm not a violent person, but what you're not going to do is be rude to the people who are serving our drinks right now, right? They're people, they're humans, and they're working their butt off for probably very low pay. So tip them well and be kind. But what you're not going to do is snap at them. So that pisses me off, and and like people who don't like when you're like eat at a sit down restaurant, you know, like put your plates together and you don't like you leave like a big old mess. Shame on you. And I hope you get choro. How about that? Anyways, I'm getting fired up. That's a big, big, huge red flag. Like if I there's a few people we know professionally, I won't say their names here, that I've gone out to eat with them and my opinion of them changed by the way that they talk to service people. I am like, that's a side of this person I've never seen before, and not a fan, not a fan. And so, yeah, that's definitely something I'm judgmental about. So, so lower. So this is what's Tiffany judgmental about. If you put pineapple raisins in your carrot cake, I'm judging you. Neither of those, neither of those have a place in carrot cake. I know that that's some people's recipe, and your family has passed it down from generation to generation. And I just would say, um, good luck to you in life. And the last one is also a little silly, but when people wear eyeliner on the top and the bottom for just a regular everyday look, I am judging you. Eyeliner on the top and bottom is a bit much. Um, I used to tell my boys, and this again, maybe not healthy. I can acknowledge that, but when they were in like middle school and stuff, I would say, if your girlfriends or your friends um, are wearing eyeliner on the top and bottom um, at school in seventh grade, eighth grade, then you can't hang out with them. And they're like, "What? That's so judgmental." And I said, "It is. It's very much judgmental." And I can tell you that uh, I'm just gonna say there's some stuff going on there, and I stick by it. I've never been wrong. I haven't met an instance where I've met maybe a young lady or somebody wearing eyeliner on the top and bottom where there's not something going on there. So uh, I still like I know this is silly. By the way, I'm not judging their character. I'm just saying it's a little bit of a red flag for me. And I might pay a little bit more attention to it. So those are my big judgments. I'm sure there are more, but those are the things that really uh, get me going.
Yeah, too much eyeliner, and especially if they have like a nickname like Whisper or Shy Girl, or just that
La Loca Shy
combination.
Girl right here. La Loca Shy Girl right here. Look at. I'm not mad about that. I'm
That's why you
absolutely
don't.
not
That's
mad
why you don't
about
like
the
the drunk.
nicknames.
That's why you don't like the drunk socks. They got to be pulled up and stay up, even when you're doing your dances.
Right,
Right?
exactly.
Yeah,
So I'm just saying,
exactly.
don't. And I get sometimes by the way that those are the only socks you have. I'm not judging that part of it, right? But I'm saying that I look at that and I notice that. So
Yeah. And well, yeah, and I hear it. Next time you see someone snapping their fingers, you can look at them and say, "You can do it all by yourself. Let me see you do it."
oh no.
Eh,
There, there's another place that I go. There's a regular that when he wants a refill, he hits his empty glass on the bar. He goes
Oh
tap
no.
tap tap
No, no,
to
no.
signal. But the bartender, she's so funny, and she'll tell him, "You can F off and you wait your damn turn." So I don't ever have to say anything because she gets them right together. But he does it just because he thinks it's hilarious that she gets pissed off and cusses him out every time he does it. So I think for them it's a game. He's not actually being obnoxious. He's just messing with her. But that guy snapping, oh, ooh, ooh. I look like my mom right now. I just felt like my mom right now. I just saw on the screen my mom joined the podcast.
Wow.
She also doesn't like when you mistreat service people, but she'll fight you in the parking lot. I won't go that far, but
Yeah. Yeah, I have a couple too. Yeah.
what about you? What are you judgmental about?
So I have a thing, and most of it's, just how people treat each other, like you mentioned, right? So people who talk at people, right, instead of engage in a conversation, telling people what they need to do, and how you're supposed to act, and all these things like that. That just that just sours
Yeah.
me, right? And then a lack of consideration, right? So, just being no, and there's one thing about being blunt, but there's a thing, when you're thoughtless in your bluntness, right? When you're not thinking about, how the other person's receiving you, or just how other people, I mean, that's the thing, a lot of folks who are task focused, sometimes they don't understand the impact they have on other people. And, then they have to apologize later. And so, well, if I offended you, I didn't. No, that's not. I won't accept your apology if you offended me because if I say no, it's no problem, then you're just going to go on and keep repeating that behavior, right? So, that's a challenge for me. I am judgmental about people who judge others, which is hard because I'm judgmental about my own self because we all judge, and it's a as we'll talk
Yeah.
about, right? It's a human condition, right? And so, um, and then a few things, that are material, I guess. Saggy pants, just as a guy who grew up in the mid 80s when saggy pants came out of prisons into mainstream, Bay Area culture. It just, I remember hearing my dad in my head, you never dress like that. That's not what Ravens dress like. If you ever, we have a problem, right? And so even to this day, when I see folks, because I know, jeans are designed to be saggy these days, right? And if you buy skinny jeans, they're gonna sag, right? That's just, so Marshalls, Ross, they perpetuate the fashion, and I guess girls like their boys who, you can see, their Fruit of the Looms or whatever else they're wearing, right? What gets me is when people buy designer underwear just so they can sag their pants. That's annoying, right? But so just that's not my style, right? And then last but not least, Dodger fans. Dodger fans and I can't say Cowboy fans because Cowboy fans, I feel bad for them. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, but Dodger fans, nah, yeah, they're the evil empire, right? So, the only Dodger thing, there's two Dodger things that I like, your dog and Dodger dogs, right? So those hot dogs all from Farmer John, right? So I definitely other than that, Dodgers can kick rocks, right? So,
Well, that obviously, yeah, that obviously demonstrates your lack of discernment and character.
that's right. Yeah, I'm a
Tells
gay
me
area
everything I
boy.
need to know about you.
Yeah. But just thinking about the concept of judgment, I mean, why do you think we have such strong feelings and emotions that pop up when these things, come to fruition?
Well, I think it's a survival mechanism, to be honest with you, right? Like everybody's got their concept of what normal is. It's that idea of common sense or, what our unspoken rules are. And so when somebody deviates from that, our first instinct is to say, why are they doing it like that? Right? This
Hmm.
is for all things, for all things, whether it's, culture, race, age, communication styles, belief systems, we can go on and on and on. I think that there's like safety in commonality and there's safety in similarity and there's safety in everybody looking the same or talking the same or thinking the same because like how could you be wrong if you agree with me or how could you be wrong if you look like me or how could you be wrong if you believe like I do. And so anything that deviates from like what your norm is, I think your brain perceives that as a threat. And then the judgment is it usually comes down to like, am I willing to explore this or have I already decided that they're wrong? You know, there are like very few things. For example, there to me, there's not high stakes in you make your carrot cake with pineapple and I don't. Like, I'm not gonna make that as a human judgment. Like you make your carrot cake with pineapple, well, I can tell you're not a good cook, but you might still be a good person. Right? But it's more of a preference. It's more of a preference than like a judgment call on their humanity. Same thing with your yard. Maybe it's not a high priority for you. I can still look at it and be like, what a shame you let your yard go.
Hmm.
If I was a better person, I might volunteer to go weed it for them or bring a little roundup on my way down the street if I was a better person. But I'm not. I can't even weed eat my
Hmm.
own yard. So I'm not judging their character. I'm looking at the yard saying, what a shame. But there are certain things that it does make me question, like who people are. Again, how you treat service people tells me a lot about your character and who you are as a person and how you navigate through the world. How you
Hmm.
talk about people who aren't in the room tells me a lot about who you are and how you navigate through the world. And so that does become a personal judgment. versus just a reaction to maybe a difference in preferences.
Yeah.
So
And
I just
that's
think it's inherent. It's just who we are.
yeah, well, our brain is trying to profile you. You know, are
Yeah.
you, like you said, are you like me or they not like us, right? And so,
Right. Exactly.
I mean, just think about, when you share conversations with folks, right? And I use this example in classes all the time. If you were of my generation, I ask people how many people played until the streetlights came on. People immediately raise their hand.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, and then they start smiling and looking at each other. Oh, I was out, blah blah blah. And I was out in the dirt until I could hear my mom and the streetlights get, so. And then I say, okay,
Right.
so think about that response that you. That's a judgment. Oh yeah, that's something. That's a response that brings back a positive memory, or such a subconscious memory that comes up whether you liked it or not, right? And
Mhm.
so people tend to bond with that. They connect with that. They lean in to each other, right? But then, I mentioned, when I was a kid, I learned, my favorite thing to make was um was top ramen and corn. What? That's right. And you see that pullback, right? And that's your body protecting itself from something that is nasty, unrecognizable, uncomfortable, something that you don't agree with, you don't think is going to be good, which is the same response as our body responding to danger, right? But how often do you see those things when we're profiling? We're constantly profiling, 7 seconds or less, right? We're scanning, we're looking out the window, seeing somebody, or if we're in an interview room and we see somebody walking in, we're already in our head. Okay, well, they look presentable. They're wearing a tie, right? Or that's a very professional pantsuit they have on, or oh, they have a limp, so I wonder, if they're an athlete or if, they're a veteran, right? Our brain is going through all of these things. We're processing all these things so fast that we don't even recognize the emotional response that comes from all that processing and profiling, and people I ask people this too, is it how many people were taught don't judge a book by its cover, right? And people always raise their hand. I said, your limbic system in your brain says that's cute. It's a cute lesson to teach kids, right?
Yeah.
Because that's how you want to be polite with each other when you're a kid. But as an adult, I'm my brain is profiling everything to make sure that I am connected with things and people that keep me and my personality and my well-being safe and comfortable, right?
Hmm.
And a lot of us live in that safety and comfort, which means that we are living with our limbic responses. So when we see things or people that are saying the things that we want to say or talking about things that we agree with, we lean into that. And when somebody says something that is not part of what we believe or what we hear or what our social group is talking about, if we're into those limbic responses, we pull back, we log off, we change the channel, we walk out, right? Or we just stop listening, right? And that's that's the challenge. It's a judgment, right? Our brain is always judging. It's always making sure that we are safe or if we're in some type of danger, right? And it doesn't have to be life-threatening danger. It just could be danger to my belief systems, danger to my morals, right? Danger to what I know to be safe. I mean, just think about how often that happens. How often does that happen in regular work, right? Or if you're a case manager or whatever it is, and you're getting ready for a meeting with somebody you haven't met, and you read their address. They live on MLK. Okay, well, I know that's not the best neighborhood in town, right? And then you hear people, oh, how come every Martin Luther King Boulevard is in a not so great neighborhood, right? And we make assumptions and we put those what we think we know just based off of those glimpses, the surface level information that we get about people, right? Which is, like I said, where they live, right? how they're dressed, how they even say hi, right? Those things like that. Those are all surface level. And if we live on the surface, it'll initiate those limbic responses and we stay in judgment. And we're perfectly fine with judgment. And but as we can see in our lives, we're more and more judgmental. We're more and more separated. And it's really causing us to have such a divide, right, in our society, which is not good, right? And we're using subjective evaluation tools to decide how all of us should live.
Hmm.
And when you're in power, that's very dangerous.
Yeah. You know, I can acknowledge, right, that part of our existence has to rely on judgment because we just don't have the capacity to evaluate every single moment in real time to, be rational or objective or whatever the case may be. Like if I'm walking my dog down the street, Dodger, Dodger dog, right? He is not dog friendly. And not because he's not a good dog, he's been bit a few times by just random unleashed dogs. And so um if I'm walking down the street with my dog and he's on a leash and there's an unleashed dog, whether big, small, anything in between, like I'm not sitting there wondering like, I wonder if this dog is friendly. I wonder if this dog comes from a good home. I wonder if this dog will listen to commands. I wonder if this one's going to be, aggressive. I'm not thinking of all of those things. I am going straight into judgment, saying there's a loose dog. This is not safe. Let's get to somewhere that's safe. And then maybe I'll get home and be like, oh, maybe that Chihuahua wasn't going to get Dodger, but in life, there's a lot of like moments where we have to rely on our limbic system or our limbic brain to tell us like safe or not safe. If I have a car careening towards me in a crosswalk, I'm not going to be like, let me find out if they left their house at 55 miles per hour and I'm walking at 2.8, what would be the moment of collision? Like, I don't have time to do all of that. And so, like, being judgmental in of itself is not a bad thing. It's part of existing. It's you're human. If you're judging, you're human. And if you're not judging, you're lying. So, we do judge. We have to. It's a survival mechanism. But I agree with you where it's where you stay in judgment where you stay in judgment, that's where we really have challenges. And a lot of the judgments that are damaging and create inequities and systems and things that are exclusionary instead of inclusory are all around usually stigma, stereotypes, and discrimination, right? And this is not just a race issue. And I know a lot of times when we start to talk about stigma, stereotypes, and discrimination, it almost people's brains judgment almost always goes to race because that's what's been most prevalent in our media and our storytelling and like our existence. But it's not just about race. It's age, it's gender, it's the clothes that people wear, it's the way that people eat, the way that people interact, the way that they communicate. I mean, it's so complex. But when we have people in power, right, that are making decisions based on their judgment, and usually, by the way, the people that are most judgmental have never taken the time to find out what reality is. They're just going based on their very limited knowledge. So they're making that like, for example, I might look at your drunk socks and be like, oh gosh, I hate those socks, but I'm not like, you're not going to be a good employee because you have drunk socks on, right? I'm not using that to base my hiring decisions on your socks. I'm just like, we're going to have to talk about some dress socks. Maybe I hope I get you a Secret Santa next year so I can get you a 3-pack of some good socks,
Yeah.
but I'm not making decisions about it. It's just something I'm noticing and maybe taking notice of. But too many times I think that where the judgment becomes damaging is that people are making big decisions with incomplete information.
Yeah.
And then we're now at a point in the society and in the world where when we're given new information, that maybe is contradictory to that initial judgment, that people instead of being like, oh, this is new information, let me change my perspective or let me change my judgment because now I have new information, it feels like that we're digging our heels even further to be right.
We're
And
living in
that's
confirmation
where I
bias.
see.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like if you and I have a disagreement and I'm like, well, here's what I'm seeing, Carl. What are you seeing? Well, you're seeing that wrong. You're not seeing my side of it, but I'm also
Mm.
not seeing your side of it because I'm so like hell bent on being right that I can't consolidate that we both might have a different perspective. We both can be right even if we don't agree.
Yeah.
And I have to acknowledge there are some things that I won't budge on, right? You can think differently, and I'm never ever going to understand why you would think that way. Not you personally, Carl, but
Mhm.
just in general. There are a few things that you're never going to change my mind, and I might understand where you're coming from, but I still think you're dead wrong. Like people who treat service people badly. I will never ever be like, well, you have the right to be an asshole. Like, I'm never going to think that way. I'm going to stay in judgment. I'm going to always stay in my position. But there are other things that maybe we can find some common ground on. Like, I see where you're coming from and I don't agree with you, but I really get it. And you have your right to that opinion. I just will never support it. And I don't have to. It doesn't change our relationship.